Most business advice stops working the moment the market changes, and in 2026, that's exactly what's happening. What grew your business a year or two ago might actually be the thing slowing it down now. The market has shifted, buyer behavior has changed, and strategies that used to work are quietly bleeding time, money, and momentum. In this video, I'm breaking down 15 proven business growth strategies that actually work in 2026, not theory, not trends, and not recycled advice. These are strategies built for how people buy, decide, and engage now so you can scale smarter, not harder. These strategies didn't suddenly become true in 2026. What changed is how costly it is to ignore them now. If you've ever felt like you're doing all the right things, posting, learning, trying to improve, but the business still feels fragile, stressful, and unpredictable, this video is for you. Not because you're missing effort, but because you're probably growing it in the wrong order. I've built businesses in markets that worked until they didn't. And I've learned that when the environment changes, growth has to change with it. So before we talk about marketing, systems, or scaling, we need to start with one question that determines whether growth will help you or trap you. Does the business you're growing actually support the life you want to live? Let's begin with strategy number 1. Grow a business you actually want to live with. Most people think business growth is always a good thing. More clients, more revenue, more opportunities. But growth is never neutral. Every decision you make today is quietly building a future you'll eventually have to live inside. I learned this the hard way after leaving a successful band. I built a company that helped organizations create an in-house band made up of their own employees. On paper, it was a dream business. Big brands, international events, growing budgets, but the more the business grew, the more I became the product. More events, more pressure, more responsibility, more presence required from me. From the outside, it looked like a success, but from the inside, it was slowly burning me out. Nothing was broken. The business was working exactly as designed. I just never stopped to ask what kind of life this growth was creating. Growth doesn't just shape your business, it shapes your days, your energy, and eventually your identity. Every business forces this question at some point. The only difference is whether you ask it early or after you're already stuck living the answer. All right, let's talk about your first action step. This is an exercise I learned from Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy in their book, The Gap in the Game. Finish this sentence honestly. I'll know I'm successful when. Now ask yourself, if your business grows exactly how you planned it right now, does the future still match your answer? If not, the problem isn't execution, the growth plan is. Strategy number 2, reduce cognitive load before you add strategy. We're living in an era of shiny objects on steroids. Before AI, there was always a new tool, a new funnel, a new tactic. Now, every week feels like a new revolution you're afraid to miss. And here's the trap. Most people don't avoid focus because they're lazy. They avoid focus because they're afraid of choosing wrong. So instead of choosing, they stack more tools, more strategies, more experiments running in parallel. It feels safe, it feels like insurance, but it's actually the fastest way to stall a small business. So here's the reframe. Your next move doesn't need to be the right move. It needs to be a move you can reverse. The mistake isn't choosing the wrong strategy. The mistake is choosing 10 strategies at once, so you never learn what actually works. Over the years, the businesses I've seen grow constantly weren't the ones chasing every new technology or trend. They were the ones doing the same few things for years, just a little bit better every time. That's what real focus looks like. Not commitment to perfection, but commitment to fewer bets. If you really want to grow in 2026, don't let people on social media scare you. Instead of asking, what new tool or technology do I need to learn to keep up? Ask yourself this: which tools or technologies could I stop learning right now so I can double down on the ones I've already built real muscle with? Strategy number 3 is a controversial one. Stop chasing validation, build profit through retention. And what does that mean? There's a pattern I see over and over again in small businesses. Every time revenue slows down, the first instinct is the same: Let's go get more leads, more traffic, more attention. And I get it. New clients feels exciting. They feel like proof. They feel like validation that what you're doing actually works. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most businesses don't struggle because they lack new clients. They struggle because they abandon the ones they've already earned. Let me tell you a story. There was a moment when new leads started slowing down in a way that scared me. Payroll was coming, pressure was high, and for the first time I seriously asked myself, what if the answer isn't more marketing? That's when I turned to past clients and built a simple continuation model, a place where the right people could keep growing with support over time. What surprised me wasn't just the stability, how much calmer the business became, less dependence on constant launches, less pressure on me personally, more depth, more profit. That became the anchor that moved the business from survival mode into development mode. What I didn't realize until then is this. I assumed that once clients got the results they came for, they didn't really need me anymore. Turns out I was wrong. Completely wrong. Today, I don't make that mistake again, and I'd strongly suggest you don't either. Here's your action moment for this strategy. Retention, reality, check. Ask yourself this, if you stop marketing tomorrow, how many of your current clients would still be paying you 3 months from now? If that number makes you uncomfortable, it's not a motivation issue, it's a retention problem. Fix that and make growth stop feeling like survival. All right, you guys, if you're listening to this and thinking this feels like part of a bigger system, you're right. And I'll share more about how all this connects toward the end of the video. And hold on, because I think strategy number 11 is really going to surprise you. And now let's continue with strategy number 4, change the audience without changing what you do. Most small business owners think growth means doing more service, more value, more effort. We talked about it. But one of the biggest growth breakthroughs I've ever experienced came from doing the exact same work, but for a completely different audience. Early in my career, I was producing bands for young musicians, same rehearsals, same creative process, same level of professionalism. At some point, I made a simple shift and I started producing bands inside organizations. Nothing about the work changed. The only thing that changed was who I was working for. Suddenly, the budget wasn't emotional, it was strategic. It wasn't selling passion, it was solving a business problem. This single shift increased my prices dramatically without adding complexity, stress, or more hours. And here's the part most people avoid. To make a move like this, you have to detach emotionally from the audience you've started with. Not because they're bad people, but because good intentions don't pay for sustainable businesses. Growth often stalls not because the offer is weak, but because it's pointed at the wrong buyer. If you want pricing power, don't ask how to add more value, ask who has the most to lose if your solution doesn't exist. Here's your action moment. Ask yourself this. Who benefits the most financially when my work succeeds? If your answer isn't the person currently paying you, that's your signal. You might not need a new offer. You might just need a new audience. All right, the next strategy supplements the previous one, and it's redefining the problem until the price becomes obvious. Most small business owners think pricing is about confidence or courage or adding more value. In reality, pricing becomes obvious when the problem is defined correctly. Early on, when I was working with the organizations I told you about, I thought I was selling productivity, better engagement, happier employees, but productivity is abstract and it's hard to measure. Everything changed when I realized the real fear of my client wasn't the productivity of the employees, it was their retention. They weren't asking how to get more out of their people, they were worried about losing them. The moment I reframed the offer from productivity to employee retention, the conversation changed completely. Budget opened, urgency appeared, and suddenly price was no longer the main objection. Here's the pattern I've seen again and again. When the price feels high, the problem is usually framed too small. People don't pay premium prices to feel slightly better. They pay to avoid real loss. If you want to charge more, don't ask how to add more features. Ask what your client is actually afraid of losing. Here's your action step. Problem reframe test. Take your current offer and ask yourself one question. What painful outcome does this prevent if nothing changes? If the answer is vague, your pricing will always feel negotiable. When the problem is clear, the price stops being the focus. And we're on to strategy number 6. Is one of my favorite, and that's the run, drive, fly principle. Build the momentum before you optimize. This strategy is not about being impulsive. It's about choosing the right execution mode based on risk level. Run equals low risk, fast learning, reversible mistake. Drive equals moderate risk. Real operation costs, mistakes are felt but survivable. Fly equals high risk, high stakes. Mistakes can be expensive or even fatal. One of the biggest mistakes I see small business owners make is trying to start by flying. They want the perfect offer, the perfect website, the perfect course, the perfect system before they even take off. But there are different speeds in business for a reason, and the right speed depends on risk. Every business I've built, every client I helped grow, follow the same pattern: run, drive, fly. Run is low risk. You move fast, you learn fast, and mistakes are cheap. This is where you launch a pilot, sell a few people you already know, test the message before building infrastructure. Now, drive is where real operation costs show up. You add structure, you stay flexible, but you're still earning. Fly is where everyone wants to be. Bigger spend, bigger exposure, bigger risk. If you start flying too early, your mistake can be fatal. In my music career, I watched artists mortgage their lives to produce albums before they had real traction. When it failed, the art stopped. Don't let that happen to your business. Run fast, run now, build the runway before you build the airplane. Ask yourself this: what am I trying to make look like an airplane just because I'm comparing myself to market leaders when it should still be a run? If the risk is low, choose movement over polish. Strategy number 7 complements the previous one. First the gig, then the rehearsal. What I'm about to share with you isn't just mindset shift, it's a technique. Back in my early music career, before I turned to entrepreneurship, we rehearsed first and then booked shows later. Progress was slow, rehearsal dragged for months and months, sometimes years. Everything changed when we flipped the order. We booked the show first, then we scheduled the rehearsals. Suddenly, a few rehearsals were enough, not because we were more talented, but just because we didn't have a choice. The day was forced. It killed overthinking and it created momentum. I took the exact principle into business. Set a date for the big sale, then complete the offer. This isn't pressure, it's leverage. Ask yourself this: what am I rehearsing for right now without a real date? Stop. Set a date in a way that can't be moved, and watch how your progress exceeds tremendously. Strategy number 8 is market to the hesitant, not just the diehards. Most business owners secretly wish they could work only with clients who are already 100% ready, and I get that. But marketing isn't for the diehard fans, it's for the undecided. That's where the real leverage is, and that's where the money that isn't yours yet is sitting. And it's important to understand this: most people don't hesitate because they don't trust you, they hesitate because they don't trust themselves. If your messaging only talks about how good your product is, you lose them. The work is to neutralize buying friction. Here's what to actually do this year if you want to grow to 6 figures or more. Reinforce what your prospect have already achieved. Use proof from people who are hesitant. Be honest about who this is for and who this isn't, and design steps specifically for hesitant buyers. Diagnostic questionnaires, Q&A sessions. When you design for hesitation instead of fighting it, decisions become easier and growth becomes lighter for you. Your action moment is to ask yourself which part of your funnel is designed for people who want to decide but are afraid to. All right, quick question for you: which strategy in the video hit you the hardest so far? Write the number in the comments. I read all of them. Strategy number 9 is something I honestly learned quite lately, and that's turn criticism into growth levers. Let me share something that changed the way I grow businesses. In my early days, I always said I want feedback, but what I really wanted was confirmation. And that was a problem, because some of the biggest growth breakthroughs I've ever seen didn't come from inspiration, it came from criticism I didn't want to hear. It came from criticism I didn't want to hear. Here's the reframe: criticism isn't feedback about you, it's feedback about the system you're building. When a client struggles, get confused, or push back, that's not a personal failure. That's the business showing you exactly what it needs to improve. The mistake most people make is one of two things. They either defend themselves or they ignore it completely. What actually works is designing for criticism. Ask for it on purpose. Extract the signal, not the tone, and then fix one thing immediately. Not 10 things, one. And here's the part nobody tells you. When you go back to someone and say, I changed this because of what you said, you don't just improve the product, you build trust. And trust compounds faster than marketing. Avoid criticism might feel safe. Using it deliberately is how businesses actually grow. All right, strategy number 10 is one you probably know, but it's worth hammering it again and again because let's face it, we still do it. And it's sell the outcome, not the session. Selling sessions keeps you busy. Selling outcomes builds your business. When clients buy one-off sessions, trust resets every time. When they buy an outcome, momentum carries forward. I see this mistake constantly. Talented business owners selling hours instead of direction. The problem isn't pricing, it's framing. People don't want sessions, they want solutions. They want progress. When you sell an outcome, clients stop asking, is it worth it? And start asking, what's next? That shift alone stabilizes revenue and deepens results. If you want predictability, stop selling moments, start selling journeys. Now, here's your action moment. Look at your current offer. Is it a step or a process, or is it a path to an outcome? If it ends too quickly, it means you're rebuilding trust too often and you're working harder than you should. Strategy number 11 is one of my favorites, and it's raise the prices to fix the model. Most people think raising prices is about making more money. It's not. It's about fixing what breaks under a low commitment. Low prices don't attract more clients, they attract more friction. They attract the wrong clients. They create misalignment, over-delivery, and emotional drain on your end. I've raised prices many times, not just to earn more, but to simplify, to attract clients who show up, who implement, respect the process. When pricing improves, delivery improves, outcome improves, retention improves. If raising your price scares you, ask yourself this: is my current price attracting the clients I actually want to work with? Here's your action step. If you double the price tomorrow, which problem would disappear? Those problems are already telling you something. Strategy number 12 builds on that, and it's build a business by who you say no to. Saying yes to every client often feels like growth. It's usually decay. Every wrong client slows you down more than no clients at all. I learned this when I realized toxic clients relationships drain you more than they pay. Just like hiring, selling to the wrong clients damages culture, outcomes, and energy from you and from your team. The day I stopped saying yes to not now clients, everything improved: results, reputation, and my sleep. You don't build a great business by who you accept, you build it by who you refuse. To make it practical, ask yourself this: who are you currently serving that you secretly hope won't renew? The answer is costing you more than you think. All right, getting close to the end. We're already at strategy number 13. You're doing great. Now, design for the hesitant, not just the ready. Marketing isn't for people who already decided, and we said that before. It's for people who are close but scared. Most prospects don't hesitate because they doubt you. They hesitate because they doubt themselves. If your funnel only speaks confidence, hesitant buyers fall through. The fix isn't pressure, it's design. All right, we got 2 more strategies to go, and if you got to this point, it tells me a lot about your commitment for growth this year. Now, build stability by selling deeper, not wider. Chasing new customers feel like growth. Serving existing ones creates stability. This is something we already mentioned, but it's worth mentioning again and getting deeper to it. Chasing new customers feels like growth. Serving existing ones create real stability. Depth beats width every time. The most stable businesses I know didn't grow by reaching just more people. They grew by staying longer with the right ones. Continuity models, communities, and subscriptions, there aren't trends, they're anchors. They reduce pressure, smooth revenue, and improve results, especially in this day and age. If your business resets every month, growth will always feel stressful. Sell deeper and growth becomes calmer. Here's a thought for you. If your best clients could keep working with you for the next year, how would that look? How would that feel? That's your stability layer. All right, we got to the last strategy. Congratulations for reaching this point. And now design the business for learning, not perfection. To me, this is the most important strategies of them all. I believe it was Kobe Bryant who said that his main goal wasn't to win, it was to learn. This is why he was never afraid to fail. Businesses that survive aren't the smartest, they're the ones that learn quickest. I stopped trying to avoid mistakes when I realized mistakes are data. Feedback isn't failure, it's fuel. When you design for learning, pressure drops and clarity increases both for you and for the people who work with you. Perfection freezes progress. Learning accelerates. And here's your last action step. What feedback are you currently ignoring because it feels uncomfortable? That's probably where your next breakthrough lives. And here's the real takeaway I want to leave you with. Growing a small business isn't about finding the perfect strategy. It's about making fewer, better decisions that actually fit the stage you're in. Most people don't fail because they didn't work hard enough. They fail because they followed advice that wasn't designed for them. If you take one idea from this video and apply it deliberately, your business will start to feel different, calmer, clearer, more stable. And from that place, growth finally becomes sustainable. If you're feeling calmer right now, not hyped, not rushed, just clearer, it's not an accident. That's what happens when growth finally fits the stage you're actually in. If you want the kind of growth that doesn't rely on constant marketing, the highest leverage move is building a premium client hub where revenue comes more recurring, more predictable, and less dependent on you. If you want help mapping your hub, offer pricing, onboarding, and retention, I offer a one-on-one strategy session. I linked it in the description. No pressure, just clarity. I'm Ido Leatherman. Thank you for watching. Have a great year, and I'll see you in the next video.